Talking to Raul was cool. Learning lessons, man. I think he saw the message that I put out on Twitter, and then from there he reached out to me on IG, and I told him to come down. Like, yeah, let's talk. Came down. I wasn't sure if he was. He said he was gonna come down, and I just kind of picked his brains, like asking him like, who's he training with, who's he sparring with, who's in his corner, who's his MMA coach, and things like that.
Funkmaster and Raul Rosas have had a strained relationship for some time. After Rosas Jr. won his promotional debut last December, he expressed his belief that he could already be a champion, which did not sit well with Sterling, the current division leader. Sterling then revealed that he had previously trained with Rosas Jr., and that the kid's father recorded the session in secret. Rosas then claimed that he had dominated the champion during their grappling session of the training. However, it appears that their feud has come to an end. Rosas Jr. recently returned to the octagon against Christian Rodriguez, but was defeated by unanimous decision after a promising start. UFC commentator Daniel Cormier suggested that the loss could teach Rosas Jr. some humility and help him improve, and it seems that he was correct. Sterling posted a video on YouTube showing himself training with Rosas Jr. and stated that they had resolved their issues after the UFC 287 fight.
Like I told him in the beginning, not directly, but through the interviews, that you should listen to your elders and want to learn from them, especially when they're that much older, because by the time you grow within a 2-3 year period, us and some of these other guys are probably going to be exiting out or at the tail end of our careers. So why not use those guys as an opportunity to get better, learn some knowledge, and also...
Beneil Dariush thinks McGregor is in a lost situation. Beneil Dariush, the top lightweight contender in the UFC, believes that Conor McGregor is attempting to recapture the passion that made him such a formidable force in the early stages of his UFC career, but can't do it. He is so lost right now. Let's hear it from Dariush himself.
Man, he doesn't know what to do. I think he's so lost right now. Like, every fighter wants to be rich and, you know, have power like he does. But he is the opposite now. He's willing to give up all his wealth and whatever to be a good fighter again. But it's tricky, you know. Once you get comfortable, it's hard to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So I think he's been comfortable for too long, and now he's hoping these shortcuts will get the job done. But it's not that simple.
Dariush has established an impressive winning streak, having defeated 8 consecutive opponents since being knocked out in under a minute in 2018. The lightweight division is known to be one of the UFC's most competitive weight classes, with a constant influx of new fighters looking to break into the top 15. McGregor, the former champion of the division, is anticipated to return to the octagon later this year, but his possible methods of recovering from a leg injury have been a source of attention. In a recent YouTube interview, Dariush discussed McGregor's situation, suggesting that McGregor has been comfortable for too long and that his considerable wealth may be a significant impediment to his successful return to fighting. He doesn't even want the belt.
I feel like he's in that point in his career where he wants to do those like historical fights, like him and Nate Diaz maybe, or him and Dustin Poirier, because he lost to Dustin Poirier. But besides that, I don't really think he wants to go for the belt, because there's a lot to that belt. There's a lot of pressure to be champion. So I don't really think he wants to deal with that.
McGregor's last victory occurred in 2020, but his status as the most well-known fighter in the sport's history is undisputed. He has also had significant business interests outside of the octagon, which have brought him considerable wealth. However, Dariush believes that this wealth may hinder McGregor's efforts to make a genuine comeback in the UFC. Alex Pereira needs to earn a title shot, says Dana White. UFC President Dana White believes that former kickboxing star Alex Pereira needs to prove himself by beating a top contender in order to be considered for a title shot in the light heavyweight division.
You put him in title contention in that he has to beat somebody to even be considered in title contention. He's got to move to 205 and beat a real guy, so that's what we're looking at right now.
In his first fight at 205 pounds, Pereira will likely come out with something to prove after his loss to Adesanya. Nevertheless, White believes that Pereira must defeat a top contender in the division to establish himself as a legitimate title contender. Gilbert Burns wants to fight Dustin Poirier. Dana White announced a new co-main event for UFC 288 after the Charles Oliveira vs. Beneil Dariush fight was postponed. Gilbert Burns was the likely fighter to feature in the scrap, but as Burns and Belal Muhammad began taking shots at each other on social media, Muhammad reportedly asked for the fight to be a catchweight due to Ramadan, which Burns declined. With the potential Muhammad fight not happening, Burns called out Dustin Poirier to move up to welterweight for a fun fight. Poirier responded that he could make weight, but wanted to be paid a decent amount. Who do you think would be the ideal opponent for the Brazilian in the upcoming event? Let us know in the comments. Robert Whittaker is going to be the gatekeeper of the middleweight division. In a recent interview on the MMA Hour, Robert Whittaker stated that he doesn't mind making a couple of people have a bad day by gatekeeping the division until he gets a third fight with Israel Adesanya. I'm hunting for that title shot against Israel. Let's hear it from the Reaper himself.
Whole thing. I'm hunting for that title shot against Israel. I want that shot. It's just a matter of whether the UFC play it now or I have to gatekeep some people before that happens. You know,
when it's all said and done for you.
Whittaker only wants to fight fighters within the top 5 rankings in order to eliminate all possible contenders for the title before getting another shot. That's why he's not interested in fighting Khamzat at the moment, as rankings exist for a reason.
And Chimaev, he's not in the division rankings. Like I'm not for a reason. Right? I like fighting top 5 guys. Like that's.
At UFC 287 on April 8, 2023, Israel Adesanya regained the UFC middleweight title, making him the promotion's first ever 2-time champion in the 185-pound division. Whittaker challenged Adesanya for the title once again in their rematch at UFC 271 just over a year ago in February 2022. Unfortunately for Whittaker, Adesanya was able to secure a unanimous decision victory. Adesanya remains the only fighter to have defeated Whittaker in the middleweight division. Whittaker's only fight since his loss to Adesanya was against Marvin Vettori, whom he defeated in a unanimous decision. Curtis Blaydes thinks he has the weapons to beat Jon Jones. As he prepares for his upcoming fights, Curtis Blaydes closely follows the heavyweight division and has his eye on potential matchups. While he thinks Stipe has a 50-50 chance of winning over Bones, Blaydes believes he presents a challenging opponent for Jon Jones. I have the size, I have the wrestling, I have the athleticism, I have the speed, I have the agility, I have all the things you need to match up with a talent like Jon Jones. Blaydes believes his wrestling skills, with the most takedowns in UFC heavyweight history and over an hour spent in top control, would present unique challenges for Jones that he has not encountered before, especially at heavyweight. That's all for today's video. If you want to know the latest UFC news, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and click the like button so you don't miss any details about the upcoming fights. Thanks for watching. See you soon.